So Alex Bregman over the weekend has officially agreed to a 5-year, $175 million contract with the Chicago Cubs. And that's a huge commitment from Chicago. And the deal includes a full no trade clause and no opt outs, which shows the Cubs are locking him in long term. Like he is going to be the guy in the future for Chicago. And Bregman, who will turn 32 before the season starts, play the 2025 season with the Boston Red Sox after his stint with the Astros. Last year, he hit 273 with 18 home runs, and he was an all-star, even though he was battling injuries kind of all year. He opted out of the one-year deal that Boston had and chose a long-term contract, and now he's found that home in Chicago. And Chicago has had an active offseason. They've already been adding pitching help with the addition of Edward Cabrera from the Marlins, and they're now upgrading their infield significantly. Bringing in Bregman gives them a veteran leader, a proven winner who obviously went to the playoffs 8 straight years with the Astros, and he's an instant impact with his bat. And this move fits with the Cubs' push to return to contenders in the NL Central. And meanwhile, in Boston, they're having strong reactions. Some are upset about losing Bregman after just one season, and Red Sox leadership says they wanted to keep him, but ultimately they just couldn't match the Cubs' terms, which I think is funny because the contract offer leaked from the Red Sox. Bregman accepted 5 years, 175 from the Cubs, and Boston's this is so funny. Boston's contract offer that they gave Bregman was 5 years, 170 million. They were $5 million away from locking down Bregman, an extra 1 million AAV. So that kind of sucks for Chicago fans, obviously. But for Chicago, this is one of the biggest contracts in team history, up there with the one that they gave Jason Hayward, which is hilarious to say in hindsight. With a club record average or AAV, average annual value, it also affects their payroll and luxury tax planning, which will come into play later on. I'll explain in a second. And this is obviously a sign that the Cubs are in win now mode, which if the Cubs are in win now mode right now, it makes no sense to me why you would let Kyle Tucker walk. And I mean, you pretty much gave up your future for him. You gave up Isaac Paredes. You gave up your number one prospect, Cam Smith, to the Astros for this guy. And you also gave up Hayden Wesneski, who wasn't really a factor much last year because of his torn UCL. But you give up all that for a year of Kyle Tucker, and I'm sure the thought process going into that trade was, okay, we're going to re-sign him so he doesn't hit the free agent market. He's still a free agent, and now I'm kind of confused what the Cubs are doing with their infield because you've got Alex Bregman now, obviously, who is going to be 37 at the end of his contract, but you started a rookie third baseman this year in Matt Shaw, who, yes, the bat was obviously not great for you, but his defense was Gold Glove caliber. I mean, he had really, really good defense. So I said something earlier about the tax that they're going to have to pay. And what that means is if you go over a certain it's not really a cap limit with baseball, but if you go over a certain amount of money spent, then you have to pay a tax. It's called a luxury tax. And what the Cubs are trying to do, or what word on the street is at least, the Cubs want to move Matt Shaw to second to replace Nico Hoerner, who they're trying to shop right now, or they will try to shop at some point in the very near future. That's the plan with that, which I don't get. Why would you not just keep Nico Hoerner? Everyone loves Nico Hoerner. He's playing great. He's not as old as Alex Bregman, so you'll have him in his prime, or you'll have him at this state in his career for a longer point of time. And without the Alex Bregman thing, I don't get. You already have a Gold Glove caliber defense at the third base position, so why would you sign Alex Bregman, who is notorious for having a pull side bat? Now, obviously, he can hit the ball anywhere, but for the majority of his base hits and doubles and home runs, all of his power, all of his pop usually comes from that pull side. And Wrigley has one of the biggest left fields in MLB, so it makes very little sense to me why the Cubs would make this like specific big signing. I don't know why they would make this their big one. especially with guys like Cody Bellinger and Kyle Tucker, like I said before, what's still on the free agent market when they need help in the outfield. Unless they try and move Matt Shaw to the outfield, which I think would be a mistake, seeing as how good his defense was in the infield this year or this past year. But I mean, I don't know. And going back to the Red Sox, it doesn't click for me because you sign Alex Bregman to this 3-year deal with opt outs after each year, and then you move your franchise player, a guy that you just recently, I should add, signed to an 11-year extension. You move him to first base because his defense was so bad, and at third, you move him to first base, and then like a month or two after moving him there, you trade him away. You just signed this guy to 11 years. There's 9 years still left on the contract, and you just trade him away. So your franchise guy is gone, and the guy that was supposed to replace him is also gone. So now the Cubs, or now the Red Sox are in like this weird spot where they have to kind of find a third baseman, and I don't know. It's all weird. I mean, same thing for the Cubs. They're kind of in the same boat, like similar boat. You trade away your future for Kyle Tucker, and he's just gone. So I really would have liked to see the Cubs retain Kyle Tucker. I think if you just retain Kyle Tucker and keep Matt Shaw at third, and obviously try and give Nico Horner that extension instead of trying to get rid of him, I think you're in a much better position long term with Kyle Tucker than Alex Bregman, who again is going to be 37 at the end of the contract. So I don't know. It's all kind of weird the way that it happened and the way that everything's playing out now. Obviously, the plans were there for both teams. I think the Red Sox and the Cubs had their ideas there set in place, and it's crazy. Like none of them worked out. Neither of the plans worked out, and I think it's hilarious how all these three teams, the Astros, the Cubs, and the Red Sox, are all kind of interlinked in this entire thing, just like blowing up in everyone's faces. Almost, because I mean the Astros missed the postseason last year. The Cubs though they had a good season, it was disappointing with how they pretty much went all in that past year, and now they're doing it again, just running it back with Bregman instead of Tucker. And the Red Sox, now you just have a huge hole on your roster. You know, you don't have Rafi Devers anymore, and you don't have Bregman anymore. So I don't know. This whole thing, the way it's playing out is really weird. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts, comments on this one, and I'm really curious to see how this plays out this season and over the next few years with the Cubs and the Red Sox. I'm really interested to see what they do, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts, comments, and I'll see you in the next one.